We're here today for the formal launch of the external evaluation, independent evaluation into the Peace Impact Programme for the International Fund for Ireland. This is a very timely evaluation for us. It's very important that we're coming to the end of our current strategy, community transformation strategy. So getting that feedback, external feedback and independent feedback on the Peace Impact Programme, what has worked, what hasn't worked and what the next phases will be extremely important for us.
Evaluation is crucial in all programmes, but in peace building is particularly important because it gives the projects an opportunity to talk independently to somebody about what they've achieved, because sometimes it's hard to see the results of peace building in the short term. It's hard to say to look and say, well, that's making a big impact. So it needs a bit of digging to find out just how things are shifting, small changes which are important, and to identify them and to see what the factors are particularly useful in bringing about that change.
I think the main findings for us, especially as we go into the end of our current strategy, is the fact that there needs to be tighter collaboration. There needs to be collaboration at a community level, a strategic level, and indeed at an executive level to support some of these communities. What we set out to do with the Peace Impact Programme was to engage with communities, with individuals, with organisations who had very limited confidence in developing community relations projects, had never engaged in peace and reconciliation activity in the past. We've very successfully done that. As one of the key findings as well that came out of the evaluation today is that has been very successful in a very short period of time.
And I was very impressed by the Peace Impact Programme. One of the key things was the way it targeted the areas and communities. It set out clearly to go to the areas and communities that had not engaged and where there was a reluctance or problems around engaging in peace building and a sense of alienation from the political and peace process. And I think that was one of the key strengths. And I think using CFNI in Northern Ireland, who had that track record and knew the ground, was significant. I think a second thing was the fact that there was a bit more flexibility in terms of how this programme was administered. It allowed the projects more ownership and more scope to develop the programme, to respond to changes, because I think that's one of the big challenges in peace building is that the ground changes, the context changes, and in Northern Ireland other factors and political developments. And I think that's the one important thing that PIP has done, is that it's allowed projects to engage with these people and to show that there is alternatives. I think that's a key point that we'd want to make, is that it's providing alternatives to the punishment beatings and expulsions that were going on, and alternatives to the sense that people are excluded from the peace process, by giving them a voice and giving them an opportunity to come together and discuss these key issues in the local community.
We would hope this evaluation will be taken on by other stakeholders and by other funders to look at how flexibility is required, especially in groups and communities who have never engaged in peace building activity before in the past. There's no blueprint for the work that they're doing. This is based on community need. And when it's based on community need, it has to be flexible to community needs, and it has to be flexible to be used as and when communities are able to use it and how they feel that it's best fit to be used, as long as it's within the objectives of a peace and reconciliation project of what you've laid out. We would hope that other stakeholders will take this, that they'll collaborate closely with us, collaborate closely with the executive, and ensure that these communities can be progressed and they can be supported as they go along the journey of peace and reconciliation transformation.
One thing that stood out for us was the positive energy of the projects and their willingness to be open about the way they're working and what they're doing, and the strength of the relationship between the projects and the IFI and CFNI was something that's important, and because frequently there's gaps between the projects and the funders, and there's them and us attitude. But I think in this case, I think that has been bridged quite a bit, and that's an important point as well.
The risks that we have taken in this project are nothing compared to the risks that the community have taken themselves. We were very much aware that there were risks associated with these projects. But in our opinion, everyone has an opinion, everyone has a right to be heard. Those voices had to be heard. There were communities, certainly across Northern Ireland and the border regions of the Republic of Ireland, who had never engaged in peace and reconciliation activity before in the past. They felt that they'd been isolated, marginalised from a political process and from the peace process, and really they had to be engaged in conversations. They had to have that debate, they had to have their opinion heard. That's the risk that we took. That risk has paid off, and we hope that it continue to do so.